Hello everyone, my name is Sarafi and I'm happy to meet you all, and today I'm going to be playing Galaxy Eyes. Now, Galaxy Eyes is a fun deck, it's very consistent, and it has a lot of power, making a lot of different rank 8s that give you a lot of utility for different situations. But the fun thing is, the core of Galaxy Eyes is still very much present. Unlike a lot of decks, like Super Heavy Samurai, you have an extra deck that is full of Galaxy cards. And there are locks in the deck, so sometimes you are locked into just playing your deck. And that means that you have to be flexible and figure out when you can lock yourself, when you can't, and how you can use these fun anime cards to go up against even decks like Snake Eyes. And you can do it. It's very possible. I got this list from Common Eyes, who I mentioned in the Origin of Galaxy box review. I'll link his channel in the description. Very helpful video that he put out. Of course, I've taken this deck, I've made it my own. I haven't changed any of the cards yet, but I am using my own combos, I'm using my own lines to find different fun ways to play the deck. So let's go over it. For the hand traps, we are playing 3 copies of Max C. This card is not as useful in this deck as it is in a lot of other decks. This deck uses a lot of search, and there are a lot of instances where you don't want cards in your hand. Cards like Photon Jumper, Photon Emperor, they aren't particularly amazing in the hand unless you have the Galaxy Soldier to discard them, or the King Sarcophagus to discard them. But regardless, Max C is still a card that threatens a lot of decks and will oftentimes just intimidate the opponent into making a suboptimal play, because they're afraid of cards like Nibiru, the Primal Being, which we aren't even running. Also, it's important to play Max C just so you can play a Crossout Designator on. 3 copies of Ash Blossom and Joyous Springs. When you combine this card with cards like number 90 Photon Lord and the number 38, you can basically shut down your opponent's entire turn. Getting a soft a negate that doesn't destroy on an effect like a spell that would prevent your opponent from beefing up their hand allows your other negates to be much more effective. So this card is very important in this deck. Then 2 copies of Called by the Grave, 1 copy of Crossout Designator, and 2 copies of Infinite Impermanence. So we're pretty light on hand traps. We only have 3, 6, 11? 11 out of 44, so, or 45, so, no, actually, that's pretty standard. But regardless, these cards will allow you to basically keep your opponents at bay while you try and play your turn out. For the main deck, we have Galaxy Wizard. This is one of our main starters. Once per turn, you can increase this card's level by 4 until the end of the turn. You can contribute this card to add 1 Galaxy card from your deck to your hand except Galaxy Wizard. It can't search Photon cards, but it can search Galaxy spell cards, which means that you can get important starters like Galaxy 100 or very powerful finisher cards like Numbers Last Hope. Galaxy Wizard's effects are both a soft once per turn, which means that you can use them multiple times, and there are ways to revive Galaxy Wizard, there are ways to play multiple copies of Galaxy Wizard, so Galaxy Wizard is a card that's very valuable to the deck. We are playing 1 copy of Photon Vanisher. Cannot be normal summoned or set. Must first be special summoned from your hand while you control a Photon or Galaxy monster. Cannot attack the turn it's summoned. You can only special summon Photon Vanisher once per turn. When you special summon this card, add 1 Galaxy Eyes Photon Dragon from your deck to your hand, and an Exceeds monster that is used this card as material gains the effect to destroy any monster it controls. Any monster it destroys in battle is banished. Sorry. Okay, so that's a cool effect. It's a powerful card. Primarily, we search this off of our Galaxy Photon Dragon and use it to draw Galaxy Eyes so that we have more cards in our hand. And also, when you combine this with Galaxy Photon Dragon will make it level 8, so that can give you some fun, easy rank 8s. Good card, solid 1-of. Photon Orbital. During your main phase, you can target 1 Photon or Galaxy monster you control. Equip this monster from your hand or field to that target. It gains 500 attack points and it cannot be destroyed by battle. Nice. You can send this equip card to the graveyard. Add 1 Photon or Galaxy monster from your deck to your hand. Okay. This is really good. The search is only once per turn, but the equip is not. So getting the ability to get 500 extra attack points, make yourself not be able to be destroyed by battle, both useful effects, and Photon Orbital allows you to easily search for any important cards like Galaxy Summoner, like Photon Jumper, like Galaxy Soldier, whatever you need. It's a great card. It just can't search spell cards, but we have other ways to get spell cards in our hand. And Orbital is also a machine, which means that it has direct synergy with Regulus, which is very important. Galaxy Cleric at 1. If this card is in your hand, you can target a Photon or a Galaxy Xyz monster you control. Attach this card to it as material. That's very useful for getting certain lethals with your number 62. If this card is normal special summon, you can target 5 Photon and or Galaxy cards with different names in your graveyard, shuffle them into the deck, and then draw 2 cards. So Cleric is an important card to have in the deck because it's a good target for the Photon, Galaxy Trance. You need to have a level 4 Galaxy monster in your deck. This is the card that you are the least likely to search, so it's the card that you're most likely to have in the deck after you are done with summoning a bunch of other cards. Like Galaxy Summoner can come out no problem, but Galaxy Summoner has an effect when it's normal summoned, and Galaxy Wizard is a card that you might use for other things, so it's just a good target, really. And then if its effect happens to trigger where you just Pot of Avarice, it's not a terrible thing. You can just recycle all your Xyz monsters and draw 2 cards. Galaxy Summoner. If this card is normal or special summon, you can target 1 Galaxy or Photon monster in your graveyard and special summon it in defense position. That's amazing. You can get your Galaxy-sized Photon Dragon from your graveyard, which will allow you to special summon your Afterglow Dragon and kill people. You can target one other level light. You can target one other light monster you control. Its level becomes 4 until the end of the turn. This is very important for specifically Galaxy Soldier. Galaxy Soldier is neither level 4 nor level 8, so making it level 4 so that you can Xyz with it is very helpful. And this card's great. You search it off of your Photon Dragon or whatever you want, and you just summon it one time. It's good. Photon Jumper. When an opponent's monster declares an attack, you can activate this effect, skip your next battle phase, also special summon this card, and then end the battle phase. That's a cute ability that will allow you to save yourself from randomly losing. Although Galaxy Eyes is not the best deck at breaking boards without the battle phase, so you probably won't win even if you use this effect. If this card is sent to the graveyard, you can add 1 Photon or Galaxy Spell or Trap from your deck to your hand. That's really awesome. It allows you to get cards like Galaxy 100 or Number's Last Hope and just crush your opponent. So Photon Jumper is a great card to mill, which is why we're playing Foolish Burial. Excellent. Galaxy Soldier. You can send 1 other light monster from your hand to the graveyard, special summon this card from your hand in defense position. That is not once per turn. Excellent, excellent card. Allows you to easily flood the board, put cards that are important in your graveyard, trigger effects like Photon Jumper or Photon Emperor. Great. When this card is special summon, you can add 1 Galaxy monster from your deck to your hand. That is an effect that misses timing, so if you're summoning it off of an effect other than itself, you want to be careful. But it won't miss timing on its own. You can only use this effect once per turn. So the search effect is only once per turn, and it can be negated, but I mean, if you're getting ashed or impermed with Galaxy Soldier, that's actually probably beneficial to you. It's probably the least important search you have. A Galaxy monster as opposed to a Photon or Galaxy monster or a Photon or Galaxy card, you know, it's just not the best one. So, good bait. 2 copies of Galaxy Eyes Photon Dragon. Its effects are irrelevant. This card is just a brick that we use to power our cards. It's level 8. Galaxy Eyes Afterglow Dragon. If you control a Galaxy Eyes monster, Xyz, Link, or regular, you can special summon this card from your hand in defense position. If this card is detached from an Xyz monster to activate that monster's effects, you can take 1 Galaxy Eyes Photon Dragon from your deck or hand and either special summon it or attach it to an Xyz monster you control as material. Then, if you activate this effect during the battle phase, double the attack of all number monsters you control, and that is not, that's permanent. That's very good, and it will usually get you lethal with your number 62 or your C62. Perfect. Therion King Regulus. This is an Earth Machine, level 8, 2800 attack, 1600 defense. You can target 1 machine monster in your graveyard, special summon this card from your hand, and if you do, equip that monster to this card. So you have your Photon Orbital and your Galaxy Soldier as machines that often go to the graveyard. It's important to note that if Photon Orbital is equipped to Regulus, you can send Photon Orbital to the graveyard to use its effect. Regulus doesn't need an equipped card to activate its negate, it just needs an equipped card to special summon itself. And Photon Orbital doesn't need to be equipped to a monster by its own effect to use its second effect. So if you have Regulus in your opening hand, you can actually Galaxy 100 to mill Photon Orbital to get yourself a negate and then also get a starter by getting your Photon Orbital. It's actually probably better than just milling Jumper and going for Galaxy Trance to get Photon Orbital as a search card and combine it with whatever else is in your hand. So keep that in mind. When your opponent activates a card or effect, as a quick effect, you can send one Therion monster from your hand or field to the graveyard to negate that effect. Okay, so Regulus can negate anything, but it doesn't destroy, and it has to tribute itself, basically, to do so. It does have to go to the graveyard, which means that if there's a Dimension Shifter or some other Macrocosmos effect, the effect doesn't work. Still, it's a good card, and we can search it, so play this. Photon Emperor. If this card is sent to the graveyard, except from the field, while another Photon or Galaxy monster is on your field or in your graveyard, you can special summon the card in defense position. Sent to the graveyard except from the field. That's a very weird phrase. So how does that work? If it's milled directly from the deck with cards like Galaxy 100, if it's discarded from the hand with cards like the King Sarcophagus, the Imseti, or the Galaxy Soldier, or if it is detached as an Xyz cost. So if you summon it normally, you Xyz summon with it, and then you detach it from the monster, that's not sending it from the field. So in all those instances, it will come back. You can only use this effect once per turn. After you normal or special summon this card, you can normal summon one light monster during your main phase in addition to your normal summoner set. You can only gain this effect once per turn. That is not an activated effect. It cannot be negated. So if I have had people try and imperm Photon Emperor, because for some reason, when it comes onto the field, it does light up to indicate that you're getting the extra normal summon, but it's not activating. It doesn't start a chain, and people have seen that and then said, I'm going to imperm this, and then it didn't do anything. So keep that in mind. This is a great card. You can mill this with Galaxy 100 to get some starters, but it's important to note that it only works while another Photon or Galaxy monster is on your field or in your graveyard. So if you're bricking and you have Galaxy 100, you're going to send Jumper. You're not going to send Emperor, because Emperor doesn't do anything if you don't have another monster. Okay. Imseti, Glory of Horus. If you control King Sarcophagus, you can special summon this card from your graveyard. That is not an activated effect. That is an inherent summon. Your opponent can't do anything about it. You can only special summon Imseti once per turn this way. You can only use each of the following effects of Imseti once per turn. You can send 2 cards from your hand to the graveyard, including this card, to add 1 King Sarcophagus from your deck to your hand. Then you can draw 1 card. That's insane. To go even, to get a level 8 on the board for free, get your King Sarcophagus, which allows you to get your other level 8 on the board for free. You also put a card in your graveyard, and then you draw a random card. So it could be anything that's useful. And it's not search, it's just, it could be back row, it could be hand traps, it could be anything. That's extremely good. And then if another card you control leaves the field by an opponent's card effect while this card is in your monster zone, you can send 1 card on the field to the graveyard without targeting it. Great. Fantastic option. Imseti is a very powerful card. It has great stats, and it can be Xyzed into basically anything. So this card is a definite 3F. Happy, Guidance of Horus. If you control King Sarcophagus, you can special summon this card from your graveyard. If another card you control leaves the field by an opponent's card effect while this card is in the monster zone, you can target 2 cards that are in your graveyard or that are banished and either add them both to the hand or shuffle them both into the deck. Fantastic. So it basically draws you 2 cards anytime that one of your cards leaves the field by your opponent's card effect. So Happy is a card that your opponent will basically have to stop playing the game until you Xyz with it, and that's fine. It's a great card. If you get some recovery options for Galaxy Eyes, you can basically win the game. So yeah. Foolish Burial, mill targets are Jumper, Imseti, Happy, Emperor, and then potentially Orbital if you have Regulus. Rhoda targets are Photon Vanisher and Photon Jumper. Galaxy Expedition. If you control a level 5 or higher Photon or Galaxy monster, you can special summon 1 level 5 or higher Photon or Galaxy monster from your deck in defense position. So this can trigger the effect of Galaxy Soldier without discarding it. If you special summon Galaxy Soldier with Galaxy Expedition, it will search, which is nice. But primarily you're going to use this to summon your Photon Emperor if you don't already have it, or your Galaxy Photon Dragon. If you summon Photon Emperor, it will get you an extra normal summon, by the way. And you search this card off of your Galaxy Wizard. You can just tribute it to draw this card. It's great. Galaxy Trance. Pay 2,000 life points to target 1 Photon monster in your graveyard. Special summon both it and 1 Galaxy monster from your deck with the same level, both in defense position. If you do, both monsters' attack points become 2,000. Also, their effects are negated. Usually, this will get you 2 level 4s. However, if you send exactly Photon Emperor or Galaxy Eyes Photon Dragon, those are both level 8, so you can get to another level 8. You can only activate 1 Galaxy Trance per turn. You cannot normal or special summon monsters during the turn you activate this card except Photon and Galaxy monsters. So if you play Galaxy Trance, no Horus cards, no Sargus, no Regulus. It's pretty rough. I don't recommend Galaxy Trance as like your primary line, but it is a good option if you're bricking. Numbers Last Hope. This card is dumb. Pay half your life points. Oh, this card is always treated as a Galaxy Eyes card, by the way, so you can search it with everything. Pay half your life points. Target 2 monsters in your graveyard. Special summon both, but negate their effects. Then immediately after this effect resolves, Exceed summon one number Exceeds monster using only those 2 monsters. Also, for the rest of the turn after this card resolves, you can only special summon 1 more time from the extra deck. So unlike the Photon Trance, which locks you for the entire turn, Numbers Last Hope only locks you after you've activated it. You can summon whatever you want beforehand, but then after you activate it, you're only allowed to extra deck summon 1 more time. It's important to note that Numbers Last Hope can trigger the Galaxy 100, and if you choose to trigger Galaxy 100 to summon a number monster from your opponent's deck, that is your last Exceed summon. That is your last summon from the extra deck. You won't be able to Exceed summon after you do that, so be careful. Alright, you will use this to make either your number 90 if you need a negate, or you will use this to make your number 62 if you need lethal, and that's a lot of the time. This is a card this is basically a 1 card get lethal going second. It just makes sure that you can always kill your opponent, and you just use every other card in your hand for bait. Galaxy 100, when this card is activated, you can mill a Galaxy or Photon card from your deck to the graveyard. If Galaxy Eyes Photon Dragon is special summoned to your field, you can look at your opponent's extra deck, then use one of the following effects. Banish a monster from it by choosing it, or special summon a number monster from it to your field. That's really funny. So you can summon Baguska if you want to. You can summon Dragluon. You can summon, if you're playing its Numerons, you can just take one of their Numerons. You know, it's really funny to just steal their number monsters and maybe use them as link material or something. You could make SP Little Knight with them. And then, of course, if you don't have a number monster as a target, you could just banish their most important card, get rid of Promethean Princess, get rid of Appaloosa, get rid of Barone. Solid. This can trigger during your opponent's turn too, so you can banish a lot of cards from your opponent's deck if you optimize this card. King Sark. Continuous spell. Horus monsters you control cannot be destroyed by card effects that do not target them. LOL Lightning Storm. You can send 1 card from your hand to the graveyard, send 1 Horus monster from your deck to the graveyard. You can only use this effect up to 4 times per turn. It is very funny to see people ash this card, and then you immediately turn around and use the effect again. Just like with Dangers. Once per turn, at the start of the damage step, if your Horus monster battles an opponent's monster, you can send that opponent's monster to the graveyard. It does not target. So that's a very solid effect. It is kind of an argument for keeping your Horus monsters not exceeded, but not a strong enough one. I can think of very few boards where 2 Horus monsters is more beneficial to me having their effects and the King Sark removal than becoming an Exceeds monster with the Exceeds monster's effects. But those boards do exist, and it's up to you to find them. This is a great card. We only need 2 copies of it. Alright, for the extra deck, we have number 41, Baguska the Terribly Tired Tapir. This is in the deck because it can be made off of Numbers Last Hope if you only have level 4s. Once per turn, during your standby phase, detach 1 material from this card. If you cannot destroy it, this attack position card cannot be destroyed by your opponent's card effects. Your opponent cannot target this attack position card with card effects. While this face-up defense position card is on the field, change all monsters to defense position. Also negate the activated effects of monsters that were in defense position when that effect was activated. So this is a Floodgate. It's a really annoying card. It is a backup plan for if you brick really hard or if you get trapped really hard. It's debatable about whether this card is better than Zeus, because we're not running Zeus. But usually, if you can go into the battle phase with an Exceeds monster, you're going to kill people with this deck, so Zeus isn't technically necessary, usually. Still, I don't think I've ever really used this card, except to get extra damage if I needed it with Numbers Last Hope. So, I feel like this particular slot is a little bit, open. This is one of the cards that I would definitely change when I make the list more personalized. Starleech Photon Blast Dragon, 2 level 4s. If this card is Exceed Summon, you can special summon a Photon monster from your hand. That includes your Galaxy Eyes Photon Dragon or your Photon Emperor if you are very unlucky. While this Exceed Summon card is on the field, your opponent cannot target monsters you control with 2,000 or more attack with card effects. And they cannot be destroyed by your opponent's card effects. Now, that does not include itself normally, but if you raise its attack points with a card like Galaxy Photon Dragon or Photon Orbital, it will protect itself as well, which is really annoying for your opponent to deal with. It does not protect from battle, though. Oh, but Orbital does prevent it from being destroyed by battle, by the way. Once per your opponent's turn, as a quick effect, you can detach 1 material from this card, target one of your Galaxy Eyes Photon Dragons that is banished or in your graveyard and special summon it. Great, that will trigger your Galaxy 100 during your opponent's turn to banish something. That could ruin their entire day. So, Troll. Galaxy Photon Dragon requires 2 level 4s. Other light monsters you control gain 500 attack points. That's excellent. You can only use each of the following effects once per turn. You can detach 1 material from this card to either add a Photon or Galaxy card from your deck to your hand, or send it to the graveyard. That is actually very useful because it's one of the few ways that we can reasonably put Galaxy Eyes Afterglow Dragon in the graveyard, which is very important for Numbers Last Hope. So yeah, don't sleep on being able to mill cards instead of adding them. That can be very helpful to you. If a light monster is special summoned to your field, you can target one of those monsters its level becomes 4 or 8 until the end of the turn. Again, you can use this card to search your Photon Vanisher, summon Photon Vanisher, make it level 8, draw Galaxy Eyes. Now you have good options. This is an excellent card. Number 62, Galaxy Eyes Prime Photon Dragon. This is the entire core of the deck, and this is the reason why we play. It's amazing. 4,000 attack points. Wow. Light, rank 8. If this card battles during damage calculation as a quick effect, you can attach 1 material from this card once per battle. This card gains attack equal to the combined ranks of all Xyz monsters currently on the field times 200 during that damage calculation only. So if this is the only Xyz monster on the field, it goes up to 5,600. But you just need 1 more rank 8 to take that up to 7,200. And your opponent could also have Xyz monsters. If this card in its owner's control is destroyed by an opponent's card effect while it has Galaxy Eyes Photon Dragon as material, you can special summon this card in 2 turns and double its attack. That's never going to happen. Any battle damage this card inflicts to your opponent is halved unless it has Galaxy Eyes Photon Dragon as material. That is important. Okay, so if you make number 62 without your Galaxy Eyes, you detach your Afterglow Dragon, double its attack points. Then you can take Galaxy Eyes Photon Dragon from your deck and attach it to Photon Dragon as material. So that solves that problem. This is fantastic. This card will always get you lethal in almost every situation. The only reason you would ever want to rank this card up is because the ranked up version is unaffected by monster effects, which is valuable. Don't get me wrong. But both of these cards have their place in the deck, and you shouldn't be surprised to find that you are going 1 or 2 games in a row without actually making C62, because 62 is better in certain situations. Galaxy Eyes Full Armor Photon Dragon, 3 level 8s. You can also Xyz summon this card by using a Galaxy Eyes Xyz monster you control as material, except Full Armor Photon Dragon. You cannot use Cypher Blade, because Cypher Blade cannot be used as material for an Xyz summon, but any other Galaxy Eyes works for this. Once per turn, you can target up to 2 equipped cards attached to this card and attach them to it as material. That is dumb. I don't know why it has that effect. Once per turn, you can detach 1 material from this card, target 1 face-up card your opponent controls, and destroy it. Okay, it's face-up only, but being able to pop cards is not something you should look down on. Very helpful. Number 38, Hope Harbinger Dragon Titanic Galaxy. Galaxy is at the very end of this card, but it is still a Galaxy monster, just not a Galaxy Eyes monster. Once per turn, when a spell or card or effect is activated on the field, as a quick effect, you can negate that effect, and if you do, attach that card to this card as material. So, it does not destroy the card, but it does attach it as material, so that means that it removes it from the field if it's a field spell or a continuous spell. That's helpful. It only works on effects that were activated on the field, so grave spell effects don't trigger this effect. But generally speaking, everyone has a Rhoda these days, so negating your opponent's Rhoda is really nice. And then it has other effects. When an opponent's monster declares attack, you can attach 1 material from this card and change the attack target to this card and perform damage calculation. So that's an interesting clarification. This card, when it forces your opponent to attack itself, it immediately, as part of the resolution of this effect, moves you into damage calc. That is rare. It's rare for a card to force damage calc. So your opponent's not going to be able to react to this unless they just negate it. They could respond to this by respond to the effect being activated by raising their attack points or doing something else. But once the effect resolves, the fight's happening and there's nothing they can do at that point. They are not... you are performing damage calculation as part of the card effect, as opposed to just normally. Therefore, I don't think you enter the damage step. You just fight. It's weird. It's weird having cards that basically force a battle as part of an effect. But regardless, this card is really good. If another face-up Xyz monster you control is destroyed by battle or card effect. You can target one face-up Xyz monster you control. It gains attack equal to one of those destroyed monster's original attack points permanently. Sweet. So you target this card, it gains more attack points. Your opponent has to attack this card, and then they get destroyed. Very nice. Galaxy Eyes Cipher Dragon. Once per turn, you can detach one material from this card, target one face-up card your opponent controls. Monsters you control cannot attack your opponent directly for the rest of the turn except this card. Also, take control of that monster until the end phase, but while this effect is applied, it has its effects negated. Its attack becomes 3,000. Also, its name becomes Galaxy Eyes Cipher Dragon. Okay, that's really complicated and weird, but here's a couple of things. Number one, if you use this effect, in this deck in particular, it does not mean you're not going to win the game that turn, because you can just kill people without direct attacking with number 62. So you can take one of your opponent's problematic monsters away from them, and then as long as they have another monster in attack position, you don't even need to worry about not being able to attack directly. You can just kill them. So that's important to note. If you're from Duel Links, you probably don't like this card too much because you don't usually get lethal. Not the case in this deck. Next up, the monster's name becomes Galaxy Eyes Cipher Dragon. If the monster happens to be an Xyz monster, then you can take your opponent's monster and then use it to make full armor Photon Dragon. And then they don't get their monster back. Because you can Xyz summon this card by using a Galaxy Eyes Xyz monster you control as material. So it has to be an Xyz monster. The Cipher Dragon does not make it get treated as an Xyz monster, but it doesn't matter what its rank is. It could be a rank 1 Galaxy Eyes monster, and you could still use it to make Galaxy Eyes full armor Photon Dragon. So that's a cute interaction. This card is okay. Primarily, the reason it's in the deck is it allows you to go into full armor without using 3 monsters. Number 90, Galaxy Eyes Photon Lord. This is a warrior monster. It is a number monster, so it is affected by the attack doubling effect of the Galaxy Eyes Afterglow Dragon, and it can be made with Numbers Last Hope. If this card is a Photon card as material, it cannot be destroyed by card effects. It's insane. You can only use each of the following effects of number 90 once per turn. When an opponent's monster activates effect, as a quick effect, you can detach one material from this card and negate that monster's effect, and if the detached card was a Galaxy card, destroy that card. That is hilarious. It is a card where if you equip both a Photon and a Galaxy card, you have the option to choose whether to destroy a monster that you've negated or not. You should not doubt that. That flexibility is actually very, very useful. There are some monsters that you just don't want to destroy. Maybe they have an effect that triggers when they hit the graveyard. Maybe they have an effect that triggers when they get destroyed. Just negating the effect that's important and then leaving them on the field could be better than destroying them. And being able to choose that based on the material you detach is huge. If there were more cards that let you choose whether to destroy a monster that you negated or not, those cards would see more play than cards like Barone. I guarantee it. So this is very, very good. And then the other effect is, during your opponent's turn only, as a quick effect, you could take one Photon or Galaxy card from your deck and either add it to your hand or attach it to this card as a material. So you can either reinforce your hand, you can set yourself up to get more negates, or importantly, you can attach Afterglow to this card or Emperor, and then detach them for the cost, which will allow you to trigger their effects to either summon Galaxy Eyes, attach Galaxy Eyes, or summon Emperor back and get an extra normal summon. So both those effects are very, very useful for you to have. Getting them out of your deck and onto Photon Lord could be beneficial to you. Again, the flexibility is really nice. This card is so... it can do so many different things. It's actually crazy. The Zombie Vampire. If you play any rank 8 deck, you're probably playing this card. It requires 2 or more level 8s. If you use a monster with a level that is owned by your opponent, treat it as level 8. So if you steal one of your opponent's monsters with Galaxy Eyes Cipher Dragon, you can treat it as if it was level 8 to Xyz summon the Zombie Vampire, just so you know. Neither player can target this card with card effects of special summon monsters except those special summoned from the graveyard. You can detach one material from this card. Each player sends the top 4 cards from their deck to the graveyard. Then if any monsters were set to any graveyard by this effect, you can special summon one of them to the field. You can only use this effect of the Zombie Vampire once per turn. It is important to note that the Zombie Vampire's ability to special summon from the graveyard triggers before any other card that is sent to the graveyard triggers. So, for example, your Photon Jumper triggers when it goes to the graveyard. Your opponent might have a card like Tear Limits Rhinoheart that triggers when it goes to the graveyard. If you special summon the Tear Limits Rhinoheart from your opponent's graveyard, it will not trigger its effect to send cards to the graveyard or whatever. Merely won't be able to fusion summon because you never let it actually hit the graveyard in terms of the stack. That's how this works. You can only use this effect once per turn. So Zombie Vampire is pretty good for getting yourself basically some extra cards in your graveyard. That could be useful to you if you have King Sarcophagus on the field. It could be useful to you if you have a hand that's not particularly amazing, but you're trying to get like an extra monster in your graveyard to target for your Galaxy Summoner. Maybe you just need another level 8 so that you can go to 2 rank 8s. There's options with this card. It seems like it's a waste of your resources to make a rank 8 that just gives you more reach when you potentially could just make a rank 8 that has a negate, but it does let you get more reach in certain situations. Chaos number 62, Neo Galaxy Eyes Prime Photon Dragon. This requires 3 level 8s, but you can also Xyz summon it by using number 62 as a material. At the start of your battle phase, you can detach 1 material from this card. This card can make up to 3 attacks on monsters during this battle phase. That's great. So it has an effect that triggers during the battle phase that allows us to get Afterglow's effect to double attack points. If this card has Galaxy Eyes Photon Dragon as material, it gains these effects, unaffected by your opponent's monster effects, gains attack equal to the combined levels and ranks of attached materials times 100. Both those effects are really good. You basically want to make sure that you always make Neo Galaxy Eyes with Galaxy Eyes so that you can be immune to monster effects right away. Next up, we have Gigantic Champion Sargus. This is a machine monster. It is rank 8, 2800 attack points, 1500 defense points. Once per turn, you can also Xyz summon Gigantic Champion Sargus by using a Springen's Xyz monster you control as material. We're not going to do that. While this card has a material, you can add 1 Springen's or Therian card from your deck to your hand. A lot of people use this card to get Springen's Tally Ho so that they can do some weird link plays. We are going to use this card to get Therion King Regulus. So this card just draws you Therion King Regulus. That's awesome. While this card is if a material from a monster on the field is detached, you can target 1 card on the field, either destroy it or return it to the hand. That's really, really good. So if you make Photon Lord and then you make Sargus, Sargus will get you Regulus, so you have an Omni Negate. And then if you trigger Photon Lord's effect to destroy a card and negate a monster effect, Sargus can then target a different card on your opponent's field and either destroy it or return it to the hand. So that's more interruption. It gives you an Omni Negate, and then it also has interruption when you combine it with a card like your Photon Lord. So this can pile up really fast. Galaxy Eyes Cypher Blade Dragon. This is a rank 9. You can Xyz summon this card by using a rank 8 Galaxy Eyes as a material. And once per turn, you get to attach 1 material from this card to target a card on the field and destroy it. Unlike the Full Armor Photon Dragon, that card does not have to be face up. So basically, you can use 2 level 8s to go into Cypher Dragon, then Full Armor Photon Dragon, and then Cypher Blade Dragon to destroy 2 cards on your opponent's field. And then Cypher Blade Dragon also floats into Galaxy Eyes Cypher Dragon if it is destroyed. Great. Soul Flare. 2 light monsters, including a monster with 2,000 or more attack points. Easy enough. If this card is link summoned, you can target a Photon or Galaxy monster in your graveyard and add it to your hand. During your opponent's main phase, as a quick effect, you can discard 1 Photon card and 1 Galaxy card, or just Galaxy Eyes Photon Dragon, then target 1 special summon monster your opponent controls and destroy it. This card is very annoying to use in Master Duel, because you'll target your Galaxy Eyes Photon Dragon, and then it will get you back to the menu, and it will ask you to discard a Galaxy or Photon card again. You basically have to hit confirm at that point. It's very confusing. So click on Galaxy Eyes Photon Dragon, then click confirm, and then you just discard that 1 card. I don't know why the game does this to you. This card's great. Primarily, you're going to use this to get annoying cards off your field so that you have more space, and then it's also a decent interruption. And then lastly, we have SP Little Knight. I'm sure you guys all know what this does by this point. Let's take a look at the replay. Alright, so we're going first in the WCS. Our hand consists of Photon Orbital, Galaxy Eyes Photon Dragon, which is a brick, Called by the Grave, Galaxy Trance, and Galaxy 100. Let's see what we do. Start with Galaxy 100. We cannot mill our Emperor because we don't have any monsters on the field. We're going to mill Jumper instead. Jumper grab Galaxy Expedition. We'll activate Galaxy Trance to revive Jumper and then summon the Galaxy Wizard from the deck. And now we can attach Orbital. Orbital effect, send it to the graveyard. We'll draw the Galaxy Summoner. Then we can Xyz into the Galaxy Photon Dragon. Galaxy Photon Dragon, detach the Galaxy Wizard to draw Photon Vanisher. Special summon Photon Vanisher. Chainlink 1, search the Galaxy Eyes. Chainlink 2, change it to level 8. Draw a card. Normal summon Galaxy Summoner. Use its effect to revive the Galaxy Wizard. Galaxy Wizard, raise its level to 8, and now we activate Galaxy Expedition so we can special summon our Galaxy Soldier from the deck. Galaxy Soldier adds the Afterglow Dragon. Now we have 2 level 8s and a level 4 on the field. We draw our Afterglow Dragon, and we're going to use Summoner to change Soldier to level 4 so that we can Xyz summon into Starleech Photon Blast Dragon. Blast Dragon's effect, special summon the Galaxy Eyes Photon Dragon from the hand. Then we will trigger Galaxy 100. Now we get to look through our opponent's extra deck and banish a monster from it. And of course, we're going to choose their Kashtira Arise Heart. Next, we activate Afterglow Dragon and special summon it. Now we'll use these 2 level 8s to Xyz into number 90 Galaxy Eyes Photon Lord. That's 1 negate. Now we're going to Xyz again and make Hope Harbinger Dragon Titanic Galaxy. That's another negate. Then we'll link these 2 monsters off into Soul Flare Dragon, which will allow us to use the Photon Dragon as a pop, and then we will also target our Galaxy Summoner in the graveyard, get it back so that we have more follow-up for next turn. We set Called by the Grave, and we pass. It's our opponent's turn. They try and bait our Titanic Galaxy with the Pot of Extravagance, and when they realize that we're not going to take the bait, they concede. There you go. So that's the deck. Very concise, very simple. I only had 1 really playable monster in my hand, and I had a mill, and with those 2 cards I was able to make a board with 2 negates and a pop. Solid enough. I can stop a lot of boards. My name is Serafi, and I was thrilled to have all of you with me.